Hey everyone, this is the first filming of What Makes a Man, my new podcast. I'm Jeremy Gardner, and my first guest is Rob Weiss, a legendary figure in Hollywood who has produced, directed, and I think done a few acting and cameo roles. Is that
Yeah,
right?
but mostly I'm a writer. The one thing you left out.
Wait,
And I'm
what?
legendary in Long Island. In LA, I'm known. But in Long Island, I'm a legendary figure.
What are you most proud of as a writer?
Most proud of is I'm proud that I actually complete things. You know what I mean?
Well,
It's
that's
like I
the
don't.
hardest thing. Getting started is the easy part.
You know what? Not for me, man.
Really?
So writing is definitely the toughest thing that I do in my life. Um, so when something's completed, I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe I got that done. If it actually works and makes sense and people respond to it, you know, it's like surplus on that, but yeah, I have a hard time going like, looking at the shows and the scripts that were made and going, oh, this is my favorite. That's not. But I think, obviously the things I've written that people have responded to are the things that make you feel the best.
So you were a writer, producer, you directed some episodes of Entourage, and I know there was a character based on you, Billy Walsh, who
Yeah.
was this perfectionist filmmaker.
Yeah. Well,
It
I'll back it up because so I started out as a writer, director, producer. I made an indie film called Amongst Friends, right? So that movie, and this is going to dovetail to your question. So that movie, which was a Sundance movie, I was like one of those Sundance kids in the 90s and came out with like a big deal at Universal, and all these expectations were placed on me, but I was super precious, man, super self-indulgent. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be like an auteur, and I would never
You
do
wanted to be
this.
authentic.
You could call it authentic. I would say it's a heightened version of authentic. It's definitely, yes, it was
Self-righteous.
authentic. It's a little bit of everything, but it really now, when I look at it as a grown man, a made man, the thing, like as opposed to being a kid, it definitely looks a little self-indulgent and crazy, right? But so anyway, I did that. A lot of shit happened over the course of 5 to 10 years. And I wind up on Entourage. On Entourage, I was one of the original writers, right? So Doug Allen wrote the pilot. In season 1, it was me, Doug Allen, and Larry Charles who did season 1 of the show. I didn't direct any of it. I was just a writer producer on it, which, by the way, is what we all were. Nobody was directing it. The directors were outside guys who came in and did the show. But when we got to the part of the kind of crazy, precious director, Doug was like, you should just come in and play it. And it should be director Rob Weiss, who hasn't made a movie in like 50 years, whatever it was, probably like under 10 years. And he wants Vince to do this movie with him. And at the time, this show's going to suck. Nobody's going to like this fucking show. I don't want to be on this show. You know what I mean? I had no foresight whether like people could dig it, not dig it. I think I was so beaten down by process over the years before that I kind of lost touch with, not hope, but like touch with what people respond to, what they
Right.
don't. You know what I mean? I think one of the greatest gifts you can have is a good intuition and a good sense of what people want, what an audience wants, what they will respond to, and what is happening in the world. You know what I mean? It's like those people you grew up with who are still listening to the exact same music that they were listening to in high school. There's nothing wrong with that, but things have evolved. Things have changed. So anyway, I didn't really want to do that. Not to mention, I'm not an actor. I was uncomfortable with it. So we wound up creating this character, Billy Walsh. And it was kind of like, it's a fictional character, but it's like an amalgam of all these wild independent guys from our era of independent filmmaking, right? So me, Vincent Gallo, it was like just conversations about everybody who had all these crazy things. Troy Duffy, like all, who was, they made this documentary Overnight about. So it was a little bit of like all of us, but
for me, I think of Entourage. Entourage is the opposite. It's the antithesis of like an independent sort of TV show or film. I mean,
right.
it was mainstream. I mean, it was
Super
at the heart of
mainstream,
the
yeah.
zeitgeist.
Yeah.
How quickly did that happen? I mean, the first season.
Yo, I gotta be honest, it happened pretty fucking quickly.
Right.
Like, cause I'm walking around going like, shit, I can't believe I'm on a fucking TV show. I was just, and it's kind of funny because, I was thinking like, oh, I don't know who's gonna watch the show. I don't know who's gonna respond to it. And I remember being out in LA and, my girlfriend at the time was like, oh, people are gonna love this, it's gonna change your life. And I was like, I doubt it. It's a TV show. I wanted to just go make another indie, be back in competition at Sundance, and this is what I'm doing. But I remember being out and the show had started airing during that summer, and a couple weeks into it, like some really interesting LA people who hadn't been paying me much mind before that. People I knew years before, but as your career, like particularly then, now we're all so diversified. People don't really judge you based on one thing anymore. But talking LA in the 90s, it was like, are you hot or are you not hot?
Right.
Do you have a deal flow? Do people want to work with you? Do they not want to work with you? If people weren't dying to work with you, nobody gives a fuck about you. That is it. It was about as base, arch, and simple as could be. Now, motherfuckers be like, oh, this Hollywood career shit, but he fucking made, fucking 50 million in Bitcoin last year. Oh, I want to talk about crypto. It's like everybody does everything now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like
everyone has a startup, everyone has a skincare
I got
brand.
fucking 9 things I'm working on. You know what? By the way, they all bring me as much joy as doing TV shows. I love it, but like I'm not gonna sit here and wait for like people to tell me what I can do and can't do. So anyway, so people coming up to me that summer and they were super responsive to the show. And I remember being like, oh shit, this might kind of like change my life, And there were a lot of things that happened over the run of the show that we started to go like, yeah, this is where I want to be. Like, I remember shooting the Sundance episode that I co-wrote with Steve Levinson in Park City, and we were shooting outside the Egyptian Theater where my movie had screened like a decade before, and and all these people were around watching the shit. Like we had, in the middle of the festival, we were an attraction on Main Street. The fact that Entourage was shooting there. And I remember standing next to Doug, and he's like, yo, remember what you said when I asked you to be on the show? I was like, what did I say? He's like, you said you just wanted to get back to Sundance. Because I turned it down like 3 times. I just wanted to get back to Sundance. He goes, well, now you're back at Sundance. And I think like year 2 is when I said, you know what, man? I'd rather be back at this festival making this show, which I think has so much commentary about the business we're in, as opposed to just making another movie that's going to come and go. So.
Well, I mean, the impact it had, I can't say I watched every season,
right?
But the first few seasons, I mean, it gave such illumination to the world of Hollywood and the business,
right?
And trying to make it, and just coming of age. It felt relatable in a way that shows in movies about Hollywood had never interested me before. It was a total.
Right. Well, because I think that really that's at the core. It's interesting you said, because that's at the core of why I didn't think people would respond to the show. So, I know what I do, and what I do is I bring the brotherhood themes that are important to me, and the fact that I made this movie amongst friends, which Doug had been around when I was making it, and was a fan of, was about friendship gone wrong, right? Set against like a wealthy neighborhood that was actually, somewhat infested with crime to a degree, right? Whether it's wealthy people committing these crimes or not. And I think that I took for granted the fact that what we were really doing with season 1 was building this brotherhood between the guys. And you have these 4 guys from Queens that are like, 3 of them kind of following out their best friend movie star, who's a movie star, who's like, fuck it. We're either going to do it the way we want to do it. It's going to work out. If it doesn't, we'll go home to Queens. We always had fun there. So like, I'm part of creating that vibe because that's what comes natural to me. But I'm sitting there going like, are people really going to relate to fucking Hollywood? So what I didn't realize at the time was that those themes were going to be the catalyst.
Yeah, I mean,
to introduce this world to people, and it'll make it more accessible to them.
Without those characters, without that camaraderie between the main characters,
it's more vapid.
Yeah,
which is why most Hollywood shows before that had failed, and most had tried to do it. But at the end of the day, people love the guys.
Yes.
Like people love the guys. I had experiences, whether I remember like walking down, we were like all in the Golden Globes thing together, and Brad Pitt were like, "Yeah, it's the guys. Hey, it's okay." Like, you know, and it was just like people fucking loved the four of them together, man. I showed the episode that Chuck Liddell was in. I screened it for Chuck, and he was like, before we watched that episode, I think we watched one of the episodes with Dom in it. He's like, "I fucking hate this guy," and I was like, I wrote the two Dom episodes, or we talked about the episode. He's like, "I fucking hate this guy," and I was like, "You do? I think they're like our best episodes." He's like, "He's a fucking dick. If somebody showed up and talked to my friends like that, I'd fucking kill him." And I was like, it's interesting to see how people were like reacting to the unit of
Viscerally.
the guys.
Yeah,
They didn't
yeah.
want to see another element come in and try to, you know, wedge its way in and take control. They loved the dynamic of the four. And even with Ari being this fifth, like with some quasi nemesis vibes to Eric, you know, but
No, it's
yeah.
funny. I mean, look, I've become friends and colleagues
with
with
Adrian, right. Right,
Adrian
you
Grenier,
told me that,
Vince,
yeah.
for the over the past couple of years. And it's hard not to sometimes see him as Vince because it's so seared into my brain just watching
Yeah.
them. I mean, it was
You
such
see,
a strong
I don't
role.
think he's Vince.
No,
I don't think he's Vince from my time outside the show talking to Adrian, but Doug thinks he's Vince.
that's funny.
Doug sees the similarities. I don't see the similarities.
Well, I know as a human
Yeah.
being, I do not see much of Vince
Right.
in
I
Adrian.
don't know Adrian that well.
But I
yeah.
watched the show so much.
Yeah.
It was at such a formative part of my life that, you know, it's hard to separate
Yeah.
his character from him, which is interesting because I was actually with him last week. So he's like, well, either you leave Hollywood in the dust or Hollywood leaves you in the dust.
100%. And I think, man, you know, like 100%. It just does, man. I've had like, I'm is like a buddy of mine who's like made Oscar nominated films, big director. It always pops in my head because like I wasn't even something extravagant. Like he saw my Bronco, right? Like I have like an old Bronco, but I did all it's crazy. It's like Mickey Thompson's, and my buddy rebuilt it. It's fucking bananas. And he saw it and he knew I had another car, maybe another car. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And he's an older guy. He's like 20 years older than me, right? He's like, "What are you doing? It doesn't last forever." And I'm like, "This motherfucker telling me not to have two cars?" I was like, "It gets that bad?" You know, I mean, this is the shit that happens out here. And it fucking does.
Yeah.
Like, it's sick. Like, there's no guarantees for shit. I've seen people with huge careers. Like I think you know, like I said, you know, when I started out, if you had been like, "Yeah, I'm a writer, director, producer, but I also have this ice cream business," like people would have been like, "You ain't a writer, director, producer." You know what I mean?
You're a nice cream man.
Hey, I'm a writer, producer, director, but you know, I have this grow operation. It's black market, but you're not in Hollywood. Like that's the way fucking Hollywood was so. It was so. What's the word I'm looking for? It's not
Analog.
Yeah, it was just so. It was so like just fucking bubbled out. There was no.
But that's also a
inclusion.
microcosm of our society. Up until the internet, we lived in an analog world.
Right.
Everyone read the same papers, you know, watched the
Right.
same news programs, you know, read the same
Right.
holy books, you know. People really, and you were supposed to do one thing, and that was your career.
And there
that's
were
what you
like
did.
these rules that you weren't a part of the construction, right? It was like if you were an actor, and when I got out here, it was like, and you were a star, you didn't do TV, right? Fucking movie stars didn't do commercials, right? You did commercials in Asia, like you know what I mean, which they did the Bill Murray thing, Lost in Translation.
And then,
goes over to
I
do, like,
think
the whiskey
I
commercial.
really think the internet was this tremendous catalyst for suddenly making going from analog to digital, where everything
Yes.
seems possible, and then
Well, with internet, and then the continual perpetuation into social media, and just the explosion of communication.
everything becomes more dynamic,
Yeah.
and it allows people to
And
individually become more
faster,
dynamic
and connected.
and you have such a wealth of information to base your decisions off of. You
Right.
know, unless you were reading lots of books or reading lots of newspapers, you know, your access to information was limited. But
Right.
now with the internet, you can constantly educate yourself on a lot of different
Course.
opportunities.
But that begs the question too: is like, what news or what can you trust, right? What can you trust? That is but the entire world just turned into a massive fucking conspiracy theory.
No,
Like, question
the
science,
internet
question this,
may
question
be
that.
Pandora's box. It
Right.
may be what
Right.
kills us. I mean,
Right.
it may be the end of us all because
But you know what? We still have we have a couple things that we can still use to defend against that. It's called fucking logic and common sense, right? You know what I mean?
Both
Which
we
I
lack.
but I trust mine and I
Mhm.
trust my own intuition. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's like I just apply it to the vax, no vax debates that go on. People going, "You're actually gonna get a vaccine?" I'm like, yeah, like 500,000 people died of a fucking sickness. People who are getting vaccinated, they're not dying. Like, that's it. You know, now you could tell me like they've implanted a fucking chip in me, and I would tell you I carry a chip everywhere I go. It's called my fucking cell phone. You know what I mean? It's like,
Exactly.
and I'm like, what could they possibly want to know about me that they don't already know about me? But you know, getting to like where I was kind of going with it before I digress into those crazy directions was the idea that now we have the opportunity to be so diversified. Again, what we do in our lives, and it's like it's okay to go, listen, I write, I direct, I produce. That's one part of my life. You know, the most successful people I know in Hollywood, people I've worked closely with, the Steve Levinsons, Mark Wahlbergs, they're just diversified, man. And
Right.
that's why, you know, as I get older, I'm like, oh, I'm involved in this. I'm trying to do that, you know? And it's,
Well, and it's happened across all of entertainment.
Right.
It's also the musicians. It's also the athletes.
Right.
All these guys realize there's probably gonna be a cutoff point where, you know, whatever first made them big isn't gonna keep them going.
Right.
And if they want to sustain the lifestyle that they have to do other things.
Right.
And you know, now with social media, people don't work for brands; they are the brands.
Right.
And
Well, it's collaborations, right?
yeah,
It's like saying, hey, I got, 15 million followers. I'm an NFL player. You know, let me collab with this brand. I'm Odell Beckham. Let me work with so and so.
and back
And put
and
it
back
out
in the
there.
day,
You couldn't do that.
Back in the day,
There was no place to do it.
and you ran the risk of being called a sellout or cheap. Or
Well, that was more. I don't know that it was ever like that with the athletes that I can recall, because I feel like the biggest stars in sports were always pitchmen.
yeah.
And you kind of always fuck with it. I flashed O.J. Simpson running through the airport.
But
With the
like
Samsonite
Tony
commercials.
Hawk,
Right.
who I'm close with, that was one of the hardest things in his career, was constantly being called a sellout.
Yeah, because it's a fucking listen, I follow the barracks. I know Steve. I read his fucking all the comments on his shit. It's a hater culture, man. Like I like the skate culture. I
Yeah.
love it. We've tapped into it on How to Make It in America. We tapped into it on Ballers. I think it's fucking dope. I love a lot of those guys.
But
But
it's
when I read the
aggressive.
comments,
Yeah.
they fucking hate hard, man.
Yeah.
Not everybody, but the ones who hate fucking hard, you know? So
Well, it's still got that punk rebel attitude.
right, but that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
You know, it's a tough culture, man. You know, and it's a predominantly kind of street culture sport, right?
Yeah.
So you know, I don't want to get crucified by the fucking skate culture kids now. I'm running past my fucking house on skates like fuck you, motherfucker. But you know, it exists. You know what I mean? So and I think you know, a lot of these guys who elevate sports to the next level, to the mainstream. Like Tony's one of the guys who does that, you know, or who did that. There's always going to be some shit, right? Where they're called the sellout. It's just going to happen because skateboarding, like fucking snowboarding, and Shaun White and all these other things, they're subcultures.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They need to grow. But then, you know, you do a couple Olympics and 10, 15, 20 years from now, it's a fucking mainstream sport, you know,
Right.
that everybody's doing. So I think, you know, I forgot a movie it was in, where somebody was like, hey, man, it was the fucking Moneyball, where Brad Pitt has this revolutionary way of doing things. And then he goes and he sits with the owner of the Red Sox and he's like, hey, man, you're the first guy through the door. The first guy through the door always takes like the beating, you know? And it's just true for, you know, for pioneers and.
And have you faced that in your career? Like, you know,
No, because I don't think anybody ever thought I was a pioneer, but I was one, like, other than when I was young and there really was hard to make movies, and I was one of the first guys to do it.
So let's rewind. Let's go
Yeah.
back to, you know, before you got to Hollywood.
Right.
You know, your life before that. Like,
Right.
what brought you to Hollywood?
Yeah, I mean, that's still the defining part of my story that is probably the most interesting, but also the part that separates me from a lot of other people because I really didn't grow up with any kind of sense that I wanted to do this or that I would do this. You know, I was in an art school. I dropped out. I went back, got thrown out. I was at Parsons. I bouncing around department to department, kind of aimless, wound up being like a club promoter in
But you were
Manhattan and whatnot.
creative? Like, was it
I
because you went to
was by
Parsons.
default,
Yeah.
right? Like, I think that, you know, I was a big, like, drawing guy, doodling guy, things that at the time I didn't see a future in. You know, you go look at Wes Lang shows, who's an artist, you go, "Fuck, I could have made a living at that shit." But you know what I mean? You see a lot of people, Greg Siff, all these other cats I know that are doing it, and you realize, like, oh, they evolved the world of art evolved to a way where your unique vision and voice would meld together, and you know what I mean? That would be your perspective, but at the time, I felt like even though, like, I was really aware of all the
So is this the
Basquiat's,
late
the Herrings.
'80s?
Yeah, so I'm in New York, I watched
Yeah.
Keith Haring do, you know, a fucking piece on the side of a building on Houston. It was like I was around for the Basquiat days, all of that, but I wasn't a fine artist. I was like, how do I translate my creative side into money and a career? And I think like the thing that seemed most obvious to me was fashion. So I was like, you know, I somehow managed to get into Parsons fashion department, which is like one of the best in the world, not the best in the world. But when I went in there, like my goal was to be Ralph Lauren. You know, I was like, man, I'm gonna make sick fucking clothes that I'm gonna wear. You
But th
know,
but that's pretty how do I put it? I mean, eccentric to a degree because 'cause you're straight.
yeah,
I think.
yeah, no, I
You're
am, yeah,
you're straight. You decided to go into fashion. You wanna be Ralph Lauren.
right.
That's not conventional. Like,
Yo,
what
it was it's crazy. I'll walk you through it because it's
yeah.
kind of fucking nuts, right? And like, I'll tell a story. My dad was like a street dude from Brooklyn. His businesses were always legit, but always a little bit like, like he was a collector of markers for casinos in Vegas. If you owed money in the '70s, like his company collected it. Like I always grew up with shady dudes
Yeah,
around.
gray
Right.
market.
A lot
Yeah.
of my friends growing up with like street cats, particularly around the time I became a club promoter. So when I was the guy who was going to art school to go into fashion, it was kind of like this fucking kid wants to be a fashion designer.
Yeah,
So it
and
was
what
right.
but
It
why
was
did you wanna do it?
I don't know, man. I was like looking like I didn't know what the fuck I was gonna do with my life, brother. I had no clue. It was like I
But
went to
was it like magazines? What
it was
about fashion
100%
is like yeah,
magazines. I think it was models. I think it was music. It was like
it was the culture.
but I love clothes.
Yeah, got it.
Like if I fucking made like even when I was a club promoter, when I made money, all I bought was clothes. All I paid for was dry cleaning. Clothes, fucking dry cleaning. Like it's
And
it.
did
And this is in the late
did anyone
'80s,
give
but
you a hard time for that? Or was it or being in New York, was that kind of understandable, or was it weird?
yeah, I don't know, man. You know, I think it only really got weird once I went into the department and I couldn't find my way around it. So basically what happens is, right, I you know, I grew up in like a working class town, Baldwin, Long Island, from Brooklyn to Baldwin. Baldwin was like, you know, like I said, it's a working class town. It's certainly not posh. It has like middle class down in the harbor, you know, a small Jewish community in the harbor part of it, but definitely a lot of anti-Semitism, a lot of weird shit growing up over there. At some point, I got some trouble in high school. My parents were like, "Oh, let's put him in a private school." So I go 20 minutes away to the Five Towns, which in the '80s was literally like a mini Beverly Hills. I go to this fucking school, and it's like 50 people in my grade, and like I'm looking out at the parking lot, and the Borderline had just come out. I think Madonna or something. And there's just kids in Mercedes and dancing on the roofs of like fucking Aston Martins and Avantes. I'm like, where the fuck am I, man? I'd never seen cars like this in my entire life. I'm like, this is sick. And they're all like, yo, you going to Xenon this weekend? You going to Studio 54? Everybody's like 15. You know what I
Right.
mean? I'm
Because
like,
they're city kids, yeah,
but it's in Long Island.
yeah.
But they're like
But they've got
it's
access.
wealth.
Yeah,
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 it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
access, wealth, and it's just a whole different lifestyle than what Baldwin was 20 minutes away. So now, like, my mind's opening up to like, oh, there's money in the world. There's this, there's this. You can be flashy. So, you know, I was a kid at like 17. I'm like trying to get into fucking all these clubs in New York and sneaking out and like going to Nell's and all this shit and getting in. And getting further into fashion. So now all my friends, my close friends, go away to college, right? Good grades, good students, parents send them away. They go GW, they go to American, go to BU, places like that. I was a fucking D student, bro, in this prep school that back in the day
You
was
probably
probably
weren't
close.
ready for it.
I was just a horrible student,
Yeah,
bro. Like I
same. I
fucking
can
I'd be
relate.
like, they'd be like, your report's due Tuesday. I'm like, fuck you. Like I just did nothing. And I feel bad about it because my dad was spending big money for me to go to school back in the 80s, right? But I was just a terrible student, man. I didn't apply myself, so I didn't get shit done. And then when college time came around, my dad's like, I'm not fucking sending you away to college, motherfucker. You terrible in in high school. So I'm not doing it. So then it became like, oh, fuck, what am I going to do? Well, I could always draw, right? And like I would always paint a little bit. And I was kind of good at it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay back in New York and I'm going to try to get into this art school. So even the art school didn't want to take me, Parsons, because they're like, this guy's grades suck. Like a fucking art school didn't even want to take me. So they were like, look, he could go to the new school for a semester. If he does well, we'll matriculate him in with his credits, which is what I did. I applied myself. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. I got into Parsons, did that first year foundation, right? Which is like a basic studies thing. You jumping around department to department to department. I mean, just doing a little bit of everything, like drawing this, that. And it was awesome, man. You're like, oh shit, there's a lot of like cool, talented people, that are all kind of converging on downtown Manhattan. So now when it came second year to choose my thing, I'm like, how am I making some fucking money? Like, how am I gonna build like a career out of this shit? You know what I mean? And I was like, fuck, I'm gonna be like Ralph Lauren, man. All I love is clothes. I'm gonna make dope shit. You know what I mean? So they actually took me in based on drawings and sketches and shit I'd done. And I get into the department and they're like, yeah, you're right, man. It's predominantly women and gay. Like, I don't even remember. I think maybe it was one of the straight dude in it. It's a very small class, like the space for it. And I got in and they were like, no, we don't do men's clothes. We're doing like women's evening wear this semester. And I'm like, holy fuck. Like, I'm really in for it. You know what I mean? So
So
I'm
did you
like,
make it? Did you make the women's
bro, I
evening
was
wear?
so bad, bro. Like, I remember like you would do these things where you're pulling threads and like, it's so important, like, when you're gonna make a movie, it's really important to learn how to do everything. I haven't, but I learned a lot of it over the years, the things I needed to do. But fashion was it really is a beautiful experience in the fact, like, you're pulling muslin, but I would sew things, like, I remember I was sewing some once and, like, I could sew it to my pants. I'm like, "This is a nightmare." But the interesting thing is one day I was in the class, and I'm not a reader, but for some reason, Bret Easton Ellis's book, Less Than Zero, was really trending in Manhattan is this big thing about Beverly Hills. I had always been fascinated with California. It's the only place I ever vacationed as a kid. My mother's whole side of the family moved out from New York to California. So every year my spring breaks were spent in the Valley and in Palm Springs. Literally from the time I'm like a little kid. So for me, California, LA culture was always like a part of the vision of my future.
Yeah, it was in your mind.
It was always in there. Like I found a book report or something I wrote in third grade, and it says, I'm going to become a drummer and move it to Hollywood, California. Well, one of them became true. Like I'm not musical, but I
Hey,
moved to Hollywood, right? So, but
not bad for a
I
third
was
grader.
reading, I was reading Lesson Zero, and I was sitting on like the floor of the class, and this girl came over, and she was like, "My dad's producing that as a movie," and I was like, "That's fucking awesome! I want to be a part of that." And she was like, doing what? I'm like, I don't know. I just want to fucking be in it or be a part of it. And she was like, then what are you doing in a fashion class? This is literally what she said to me. And I was like, I don't fucking know. Like, what am I doing here? So when the semester ended, they were like, oh, like I did terrible. They were like, with my evening wear, they were like, you should go find something else. Illustration might be more your thing. And I was like, all right. And then I kind of flaked my way through that semester and didn't really show up. And I went into club promoting, and that was just I found, like, in New York, it was just once I abandoned creativity, a part of me kinda died
Right.
for a little while.
Were you at Studio 54?
Yeah, I mean, I ran shit. I don't remember if we ever did. It was the second incarnation of Studio. So, Studio had, like, the tax evasion problems, and then it came back a few years later under different ownership. But bro, I threw parties at fucking Palladium, Michael Todd Room, Heartbreaks. We ran the Milk Bar, Limelight, like the Tunnel. I think we were like the first promotion ever at the Tunnel when the Tunnel opened up. But these are like, you're a kid, so you're looking at me like you're tripping balls.
No,
To know
I
what the
mean,
fuck I'm talking
I
about.
mean, I was.
But if you get some old
wasn't.
motherfuckers listen on your
I wasn't
shit,
even born.
yeah. But like these were like legendary New York like spots.
No, I know
that,
Studio 54. Do you
but
have
this
any
is
great stories from back then, or any formative
yeah. You
ones?
see, I was too young for the real studio,
Yeah.
like the Steve Rubel, Ian
Yeah.
Schrager studio. I was too young for that, but I would like show up outside that shit at like 15 and be like this, you know, and they'd be like, get the fuck out of here, you know what I mean? But it was like, I don't know, you know, I only lived like 15 minutes from Manhattan, you know, I lived by Kennedy Airport. So, you know, it was always pretty easy to be like, yeah, I'm just going to go over to so-and-so's house and watch a movie and then jump on a fucking train
And go right
and
into
be in New York
Manhattan,
in
yeah.
fucking 15 minutes and
It's
run
amazing.
around with my friends. And like, it was crazy when I think about it because I have a 5-year-old son. I'm thinking like 10 years from now, if my kid was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go sleep at so-and-so's. Then I found out he was running around the Vegas Strip. I'd
Yeah.
fucking kill him, you know what I mean? But
That's one thing I think about. I think about like all of the fuckery I got into as a kid, and I mean, I just am gonna see right through my kid.
yeah, you think so, but you won't because they're gonna come up with new shit, and you'll be such a fucking dinosaur by then. Like,
Right.
you go back, how did I miss that? I should have seen that. But anyway, so you know, after this girl told me that, and I dropped out. And when I went back, I studied film, and that was really, I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do, you know, and.
So how long did you last until you came out to Hollywood?
So I went into the film department. I think I lasted like a year in the film department, had like an altercation in my classroom with somebody who was an absolute douchebag. So then they kicked me out of the fucking film class. And as I was leaving, I'm like, I'm gonna go make an indie movie. And my teacher was like, yeah, dickhead, make it in 70 millimeter, right? And the sick shit is somehow I went home to write a short film. And then it wound up being a feature, and I got it made. I just fucking pulled it together.
All right.
And literally,
how did that happen, though?
bro, that's it, man. You could ask me many times how it happened. Desperation. All my friends were getting out of college, all getting fucking jobs at Goldman Sachs, moving into Manhattan. Like, American was great. I'm ready to start my life. And I'm like, holy fuck. I just moved back in with my dad and my stepmom, and shit's fucked up. I'm like, I better pull something together. And I'm like, I'm gonna write this 30 page. I snuck into the State of Grace premiere, which was a dope movie with Gary Oldman and Sean Penn. Met the director. I'm like, I want to work for you. Basically, he was just like, dude, make your own fucking movie. I went and I was like, I'm gonna write this short. And it was like, I was 30 pages in, and I was like, oh, I'm still like at the beginning. I just kept going and going. I wrote the whole movie in 12 days, and it was like 130 pages. And then I was like, just putting pieces together and trying to get money, and somehow wound up with like between $40,000-$60,000 and a great crew of young, hungry, talented people and who shared a vision. And
I think that's so essential
it was
for people that are going to break out at a young age.
Listen, people don't realize now anybody go make a movie. Fucking 30 years ago, 20 years, some odd years ago when I made this movie, you could not go make a movie like that. I would come out here, I would sit with like Jeffrey Katzenberg, Joe Roth, studio heads, like, how the fuck do you do this? How'd you go with a couple $100,000, make a movie that looks like $5-10 million? I'm like, I have no fucking idea. And they go, well, what made you think you could do it? I go, I was just too stupid to think I couldn't. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know any better.
I mean, but that's it though. That's it. You surround yourself with a bunch of brilliant, hungry young people, and you're too dumb to think you can't do it, and so you try something.
Yeah, too dumb to fail.
Yeah, exactly.
But also so desperate that failure is not really like an option. You know,
Right.
I think what was interesting.
You don't want to move back home with the parents.
Yes, but the more interesting thing about it is after it was made, like I didn't pay any real dues prior to it, but after it was made, all the fear of failure, all the insecurity. To go sit with guys like Katzenberg in a room with him and the heads of Disney, the guy from Touchstone, Hollywood Pictures, Halstead, Ricardo Mestres. I'm like literally in my chair. I'm like fucking 26, like this. You know what I mean? Like it was just, it was a lot, man.
You felt the pressure.
Yeah, it was meteoric, man. I was far too insecure. No real foundation, no real structure. Again, I went from being a massive underachiever to a grotesque overachiever. The pendulum swing was insanity for me, you know? So I couldn't really sustain. I think what happened was, I worked on projects like the American Psycho thing, which you asked me about before this, but I was having such a hard time, like, committing, finding a thing, and
Well, you didn't want to fail.
the yes, I didn't wanna fail, the fear of failure, which, by the way, you walk out of the game because you're scared of failing, you fail anyway, so I failed anyway,
Yeah,
which was fine.
I mean that was what was so tough for me was my exact same experience. Massive mess up for the first 21 years of my
Yeah,
life. Nobody had any expectations of me.
right,
Then I drop out of school, have some near instant success as an entrepreneur, uh, have all this attention on me, and I placed more pressure on myself than anyone was placing on me.
right.
But now I felt I had set the bar so high for myself that I couldn't fail, and it almost paralyzed me. It made
But
me
it did,
yeah.
it paralyzed me because it would be like I'd write a sentence, I go, "This sucks." It was like the judgment on myself. It was interesting because I think the PR for the movie came out by New Line, Fine Line, released
This
it.
is your first film.
Yes,
What's
Amongst
it
Friends.
called?
Amongst Friends.
Okay.
And they sent me the press package, right, which was from all the screenings, all the magazines, all the covering editors, their responses to the film. And I remember when I first got it, somebody would be like, "Yeah, wasn't that original?" Like I would see a few things, they would freak me out. When my career was dead, like 6, 7 years later, I looked at it again. It was literally like 9 out of 10 things were praising me, responses
But
like,
you only
"I
noticed
feel
the
like we're in the
criticism.
presence of a great new voice," this and that. And I was like, "Holy shit, man. 6 years ago when I could have done anything, all I saw were the criticisms. All I saw was like the things that made me feel like, oh, am I a fucking fraud? Because I didn't believe in myself.
Right?
And
Well,
I didn't know. I didn't know if it was like a fluke. I was like, is this a fucking fluke? So I think that's, then what happens is you go like when you get beat down enough and you come back, you start doing the work, you become something called process oriented. And you realize it's not really my job to worry about whether I'm a fluke or not. My job's to do what I do. I create shit, some shit is going to be better than other shit. If something sucks, sorry, I'll do better next time. I've never phoned anything in my life and, but that doesn't mean I'm like infallible. You know what I mean? Like we're still fucking human at the end of the day. So, but I mean, we could talk for hours about it, but it
so
definitely
you
was
said 7 years later when your career was dead.
right.
Like, is that
It was like 4 years,
what's
but yeah.
what's like the closest you hit to rock bottom? Was that it?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, it's interesting. Like, yeah, it was probably in my early 30s. So really what had happened is 26, hot as fuck, right? So I make the movie, I start writing at 23, 24 shoot, it comes out 26. Super, super hot in the town, 3 picture deal, Universal. Could pretty much do whatever I want to do. And I'm like, you know what? This is gonna stay until I make a bad movie. This is my mindset. So let me just be smart about it, right? 2 years goes by, involved in American Psycho. That's not really panning out the way I want. I write this other movie for a friend of mine. And then I decide I should direct this. So now I'm gonna go direct this. I'm like 28 years old, doing it with this company, Savoy. Offers are out, back and forth, Nick Cage. Super cool movie about Long Island. Great follow-up to the first thing I did. Studio falls apart. Barry Diller buys it. Movie kind of vanishes. Now I'm at this crossroad. It's only been 2 years since my last movie came out, but I'm feeling all this pressure like, you need to go make a movie. Now motherfuckers make a movie every 8 years. Like nobody busts anybody's balls.
Right.
I was like, well, I don't understand. Michael Mann like makes a movie every 5 years. They're like, you're not fucking Michael Mann. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like bugging out. So like they're all over me. They're like, and my team at UT was trying to pressure me to go make this movie that there was an opportunity for me to direct Good Will Hunting. That's what they want me to do.
Oh
But
my
I
god.
read it, but I couldn't really get into it because at that time I didn't even know how to read somebody else's words. I was like dying. I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know. So
Unbelievable.
I wound up writing a couple of movies. I wrote this Jimi
So you
Hendrix
were
movie.
so at this point you were really hot because if you're getting asked to
Yo, super hot still.
because you were being
I was
asked
super hot for 4 years.
you were asked to direct American Psycho. I mean,
Yeah.
Good Will Hunting. I mean, those were
Yeah.
hot scripts.
Yeah. No, I was offered a ton of shit, man. My only real regret about that is not making any of those movies, but I think I said it on Clubhouse. I left like a shit ton of cash on the fucking table. And if I knew what I knew now, I
And,
just would have taken that
and
fucking money, made some cool shit, and bought some
is
dope fucking property in Venice or
is
some
that
shit.
is that where that reputation as a perfectionist comes from? You just always want to do things perfectly or not at all?
Well, American Psycho was super tricky, right? So American Psycho was incredible as a read to me, having especially since I was such a Lesson Zero fan in a weird way, that kind of inspired me into the movie
Yeah.
business. And I met Brett, and I actually think Brett gave me a shout out in that book, Lamorama, he wrote also. I really like Bret Easton Ellis, and, I, when I read that, I was like, "Fuck, this is awesome." But the narrative wasn't obvious to me then. I didn't have the taste that I've developed. I didn't have the understanding of the nuances of film and
Well, this is a very
storytelling.
internal book, right?
Right,
It's all
but Mary Harron had, like, a vision for it,
yeah.
and the right person made it. Like, for me, it was kinda like, "Well, what if I do this? What if I do that?" And there were also a lot of cooks on that, and all of which I loved. There were, like, 5 different producers, and some of them are like, the Hanleys are amazing people who've made amazing movies. But, like, I would sit there and talk with Chris and Roberta, his wife, and they had so many ideas, but I just couldn't really lock in. So at the same time, I was writing this other movie for my buddy PJ to direct, and then when that movie got done, I was like, "Yo, PJ, I gotta direct this." It was about being a club promoter in Manhattan, but it was like club promoting in Manhattan meets true romance. It was like bananas. So he was like, "All right, you should do this." So we sold it. There was like a bidding war, like all this crazy shit happened over it. Like Universal was like threatened to sue Savoy because they said I wrote it during my term deal. All this kind of crazy shit happened. So I called Ed Pressman, who had the rights to American Psycho. I was like, "Look, I'll bring you on to Milk Bar with me as a producer. Hold American Psycho for me. I'll come back to it after I do Milk Bar." And he was like, "Done." So now we go out there, we set it up with Savoy, yada, yada, yada. At some point, Ed came to me and he was like, "Look, we're going to lose our option. We need to move forward on American Psycho. We'll give you a producer credit on it." At the time, it was supposed to be like an EP, a little bit of money or whatever the deal was. Yeah, I don't even think I wound up getting money, but he was like, we'll do this for you. And, we'll still go do Milk Bar. I was like, all right, fine. So they move off on that, and then the studio falls apart on Milk Bar. So now I go from like 2 movies to really no movies, which is par for the course, you
Right.
know? So after that, it became like, "Yo, you need to do something fast." And I was like, "Holy shit, like so much stress. I'm bugging the fuck out. I'm bugging the fuck out." Like, and at the time I felt confident I could direct Milk Bar. It had only been a few years since I directed, but I was super nervous about it, which is like interesting because you look at all these filmmakers that you admire and they talk about like, "Oh, I throw up the night before I start." Like, you always wonder, am I gonna be able to do it? And like you realize it's like jitters. It's like me going, "Oh, I got jitters before the camera's rolling this." And the minute they roll them, you're like, you're fucking fine. But it's just it's like a
It's
moment. But I was
anticipation.
scared, right? I
Yeah.
was scared of that anticipation. So, you know, the studio wound up falling apart. I was pay or play, so they gave me like a chunk of cash, right? So now I'm like a 28-year-old kid with like 800 grand cash or whatever the fuck it was. I was like, I'm gonna fucking chill the fuck out. So I wrote a couple movies. I did an adaptation of this Iceberg Slim novel, Pimp, for Quincy Jones and Island, and it's a book I actually own the rights to now. So my connection with this project started in my late 20s. I had done a adaptation of well, not adaptation, a biopic about Jimi Hendrix for HBO, which wound up on Showtime, which I took my name off because I thought it was horrendous. Which I learned a valuable lesson from, that you go down with the ship in this town, man.
Yeah.
You don't take your name off of shit,
Yeah.
dude. It's just a bad vibe. But I did. And, I was like, I'm just going to chill until I figure out what I want to do. So now 4 years is gone. Um, People are going, well, he's not really looking to direct. Now he's just writing stuff. And I'm slowly losing currency. The heat's fading. I don't know. Nobody's telling me that. But I'm slowly walking myself out of the game because of fear, anxiety, insecurity, all these things. And I started to feel it. So then I wind up in a shrink's office. And I was blessed and fortunate enough to find this guy who was recommended through somebody. And like, I don't want to get into a 3-hour conversation about it, but what was amazing about it is I go see him. My conversations with him in the long run in my life were a game changer. But I didn't realize the guy knew anything about Hollywood. I didn't realize it was like a Hollywood shrink. I was with him. I went broke. Then I started doing Entourage. I go back to the guy. Somewhere after like 10, 15 years into our relationship, he's like, he's like, I'm going to be phasing out all my clients. My book comes out. I'm like, a book? He's like, yeah, I wrote this book. Random House is publishing it. We're going to go out on tour. We're going to do this and that. And I'm like, tour? I'm like,
You're a therapist.
I'm like, dude, you're some fucking therapist on Sawtell in like West LA. I don't know who the fuck this guy is. I don't know anybody who knows this guy. So I go home and I'm like, I'm going to Google this fucking guy. Right? I Google him. A 7-page New Yorker article comes up on this guy. And I'm reading it. I'm like, this motherfucker's been my shrink for 7 years. He's got like Adam McKay talking, Brett Easton Ellis. He was the UTA shrink. He was the OJ shrink that they broke into his office. I'm like, holy fuck. I go in the next week. I'm like, dude, you're a Hollywood fucking shrink. He's like, what did you think I was? I'm like, I thought I was getting secrets from you that nobody else was getting, you know? Which is the craziest thing. So he wrote this book called The Tools. And, you know, and fucking blew up. And that was the end of that. But in those conversations, I got back on track, and, you know, there's a lot of things to learn about process and not being so result oriented. And when you really engage in that way, and, you know, and you evolve, also it's just a little maturing, you know, once you start to evolve, a lot of those insecurities fade. And the most important thing is you start to be able to engage your work. Now, that doesn't mean they ever go away entirely, but your ability to navigate and push through them, you know.
So you made your first film in the early 90s?
Yeah, it came out in like the early to mid 90s, yeah.
And then when was the next time you actually ended up making a film?
I didn't. I just went on to Entourage, so.
And when was that, 2001?
Well, this is, Entourage started in 04.
Okay.
So, right, yeah, so.
So how did you sustain yourself in that period?
Well, because I was always working. Like,
right.
So there's a 10-year period, right, between my movie coming out and Entourage, right? Me being employed on Entourage. And I would say, you know, the first 4 years of the 10 years, I'm hot. The next 2 years, my heat's fucking dying, but I'm still existing on all that money I got for the pay or play.
Right.
My Universal.
You didn't burn through it.
Well, I did burn through it. You know, I remember like talking to my business manager because I didn't even understand money either.
Right.
And him being like,
that's what I think.
He'll be like, yo, you're out of your money. And you go, what happened to my Andrew Grant? He's like, you spent it. You know what I mean? It's like,
that's the thing for me is that like I first made money when I think I was 25, 26. Yeah. And I've never been a big spender. Like, I'm not a materialistic guy.
Right.
The money just goes. You find places to put the money.
I could spend money pretty far. I could burn, you know what I mean? But I'm not like, you know.
So what did you do for work? You know, once you realize that the money wasn't there.
So basically what happens is, you know, there was money, I want to say till I'm around 30, right? And then at around 30, 31, I'm pretty tapped. And this is around the time that I'm feeling persona non grata, which in hindsight, I realized there were a lot of opportunities for me, but the feeling of being persona non grata was more in my head because people weren't letting me do what I wanted to do. Right. You see, like 4 years before that, if I walked into any place with a script and said, "This is what I want to make," they would have said, "Go make it." So now I'm in my house and I'm writing these indies and things, which, by the way, I still think are good, you know? Maybe I could fucking sell them as NFTs or something. You know, I don't know. They're sitting there in a drawer somewhere. You know, I was writing these things and people weren't being receptive. But I probably could have gone and directed TV episodes. There were probably things I could have done. But I think a part of me, too, was a combination between the insecurity and the pride is I didn't want to pick up the calls and hustle. I didn't want to call new agents. Well, it wasn't the work because it wasn't the work. I didn't want to be embarrassed. I didn't want to feel the rejection. Like I know people like they'll be like they just call whoever the fuck they want. Like they'll be like, yeah, I called so and so.
No, I hate asking for favors.
I don't fucking. That's the thing. Like I remember being out. So my girlfriend at the time, at around 30, 31, 32. My girlfriend, the one who was like telling me to do Entourage. I remember like I was just broke and like we were both kind of broke shit. And she was a lot younger than me. And she wound up getting a soap and being one of the leads on it. So she was bringing money in. And then I wound up doing Entourage. But I remember when I was broke, we were out at some club somewhere and DiCaprio came in, right? And he was like, yo, Rob, what's up? And I'm like, hey, what's up? Walks up. She's like, you know Leonardo DiCaprio? I was like, well, yeah, I've been out here for like 15 fucking years. You know what I mean? And she's like, well, I understand. Why don't you call him and ask him for help? I'm like, I'll
Asking for
fucking
help.
ask people for help in this motherfucking town. I'm like, people don't help people in this town.
Yeah.
People work, you fucking collaborate on shit and do things together, but like, it just doesn't work like that, But she's young and, so yeah, nobody wants to call somebody and say, yo, what do I do about this? What do I do about that? At least not then. Now I think it's like all bets are off, man. It's like I'm happy to talk about my entire life because I see the rewards of that transparency.
Right.
Doug Allen and I did we hosted a room in Clubhouse. Doug's a creator of Entourage. We went to high school together. He was around for my whole journey.
Was he the private school or before that?
No, he was in the private school for 1 year and then he went back to public school. But when I was doing like amongst friends, he was hanging around and then, he went to AFI, I let him use my office at Universal for casting and he was making all these movies and like we weren't like best of friends, but we were in the same circle, but we supported each other.
And you had that bond, you went back.
We just knew each other,
Yeah.
right? But I'm saying it was like the bond I think came through the work together, which was Entourage. So Doug and I had been, doing the a one night a week thing with our friends from Maven's List, which is this app. They're going to be pumped and I'm giving them shout out. So don't cut it. I might ding them for fucking 2,500 for doing it too. I'm kidding. So no, they sponsored us to do this room on Clubhouse, me and Doug. And we started talking about like how we both were like panic attack sufferers when we were younger, And my first panic attack came years before his. So when he was having panic anxiety attacks, I could kind of walk him through it and it's kind of funny, But, we both went through it and it's fucking legit, and afterwards he was like, bro, we should really have this conversation on the Victory podcast, which is the Entourage podcast he does with Kevin Connolly and Kevin Dillon. I was like, dope, I'll come in and do it. So we did it and we got so many responses, bro. Like, I mean, just me personally, dozens of DMs from people that, hey man, and like real deal people like, hey man, I served our country. I suffer from this and that. And you just go like, one, you realize that everybody's suffering something. There's a lot of shit going on, you know what I mean? And the way the world's going, it's not getting easier. That's number one. Two, you realize the value of honesty and that form of authenticity, to go to what you said earlier, and transparency, because like, I'm not trying to be like fucking old school Clint Eastwood, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
well, that to me is the
I'm not knocking, I'm not ripping Clint either, but just saying, I'm not trying to show like all bravado and shit. Like,
No, I think
I want to be helpful and be of service.
I think that's so important. I think so much of our society and our definition of what it means to be a man is caught up in like the Marlboro man, the Marlboro cowboy, like the stoic guy that never expresses his feelings,
Right.
the macho man, the Sylvester Stallone, the typecast of masculinity that emerged with the age of mass media.
Right.
And the fact that it's taken us nearly 100 years to evolve out of that is mortifying to me. But I think it can only happen if we have these sorts of conversations.
Yo, I agree, but I do wonder where the line goes to, you know what I mean? Meaning, like, I agree, I think that,
we don't want, I mean, I think masculinity is fragile in two directions.
Yeah.
One, it's tied to something that's untenable. Like, we're not going and serving overseas in great wars anymore.
Right.
And, there's nothing like classy about smoking a cigarette anymore.
Right.
But the question is, what is a man today? Like what takes its place?
I think about it. I really do, man, because, I am the product of 100%. I won't say that because I won't call my dad like a stereotype, but my dad was 100% that 70s, 80s, cigarette smoking, Lincoln driving, fucking macho persona, and, it definitely informed how I looked at manhood, masculinity, and all of that, growing up. And it's interesting because, things I think have always changed through the kind of work I've done on myself, but it really changes once I had a kid. You know what I mean? And that's what makes, because I otherwise I wouldn't question like, oh, what makes a man? Like, I understand, like, the way the world is now. So obviously you go like, well, this isn't acceptable. That's not acceptable. People don't want to hear this. People don't want to hear that. They don't want you to make a show about this. They don't want you to make shows that have this in it. That's different. That's just going like, that's looking at a new paradigm shift, right? And you go like, all right, but that doesn't mean that changes you. What changed me is looking at my son and going, how do I want to look at manhood now with the idea that I'm going to be helping to raise someone into a man? You know what I mean? What is
You are
that idea?
shaping the man.
Yes. What is that idea of manhood? Strength looks different now. Inner strength looks different now. The greatest thing ever is my kid. My kid's 5 years old. I share custody with his mom. She has majority custody. He's privileged in the sense he gets to go to this like cool little preschool, right? But he's also got a lot of culture coming at him. He's half New York Jew, but he's also half Cuban and Mexican on his mom's side with a very big extended family that loves him. And he has like all this stuff going on, but he was staying with me a couple weeks ago, and somebody had sent me one of those meditation bowls that you like ding. And I was like, oh, it's for meditation. He's like, oh, we should meditate. I was like, you know how to meditate? I swear to God, this is true shit. And I go, you know how to meditate? And he goes, yeah. I go, all right, like, we had showered up and getting ready for bed. I go, all right, let's go meditate. So he sits down and he's in like fucking lotus position. I swear to God, it's a true story. I'm not bullshit. This little motherfucker's in lotus position, right? So I go,
He's 5?
5 fucking years old. So I go, and I go, you know how to do this? He's like, yeah. He's like, you got to light something. Let's get some smells. I was like, all right, I'll get a candle. And he's like, no, you have the other stuff. I go, incense. He goes, yeah. So, all right. So I get some incense, lightning. He's like this, we start to do like the meditation thing, right? He doesn't have like a long attention span. So he's like, all right, I'm done. I'm like, well, I'm done. I'm still going. Stop, right? Then afterwards, I'm like, maybe we should say a prayer. And he's like, yeah, and he had been to like a Lutheran school in Pomona at one point. So he's like, Jesus, I'm like a Jew, He's like, Jesus, you show mercy on my dad, for being a Jew. No, he didn't say that. But he was like, he didn't say that. But he was like, he goes to this whole thing. And then I swear, he looks at me, goes, we should do some stretching and some yoga. And I go, I felt like I was tripping. Bro, I felt like I was tripping balls. I was like, what kind of yoga? And he starts doing down dogs. He's like, come on, child's pose. And I go, where'd you learn yoga? He's like, we do it at school. And I was like, holy fuck. Now I see where the money goes. I was like, because they really dig you. But it's interesting how evolved our kids are going to be.
No, I mean, I love that.
And
I thought I went to a progressive election school or
Yeah.
preschool, but we were doing finger paint. Like, we were doing yoga or meditation.
Right, but like my dad, like if I was a kid doing yoga, my dad, what the fuck is yoga? You know what I mean? It would have been like, you're playing football, you're not boxing, like, you know what I mean? Like, like it was just, it's just different universe, you know what I mean? But I love it. I love the evolution, That doesn't mean every part of what I grew up with dies inside of me. You know what I mean? Like, so I think we adjust and we expand and we learn, right? What makes a man? I don't know. You know what I mean? I definitely think it's being truthful to yourself and having the courage to look at yourself, really look at yourself, and the courage to try to change the shit you don't like, you know what I mean? But that might be a woman too. That's just kind of human,
Well, so that I love that because I've been asking myself this question for a couple of years now.
Right.
I think it started with creating a company called Made Man. I was
Right,
like,
right.
What is a Made Man? But what's funny is that the more I think about what makes a great man, it has nothing to do with his gender.
Right.
Well, everything that makes a
Right.
great man makes a great woman.
Yeah, exactly.
But the question is, what is then? What is the inspiration you give men to develop a sense of identity that's unique? Like where? How do they begin to form their own conception of self, and maybe it should transcend gender identity. I mean, I think that
I
would be
think, but I
fabulous.
think that's like it's crazy that I'm gonna say it, but because it's not the way I would normally think. But I agree with you. I think if you're really saying that, what makes a great man is also what would make a great woman, and vice versa, then it's really not really about what makes a great man anymore. It's what makes you the best version of you,
Exactly.
whoever you are, and whoever you choose to be. Like I said, the world's evolving. It's changing. You know what I mean? Like, we certainly weren't talking about non-binary like 20 years ago, and
Yeah, and look, to a certain extent, and I know this is kind of what you were intimating towards earlier. I think like the world of identity politics has gone way too far at
right,
certain parts where it's just like way too much a part of the culture to the extent that it like drowns out more important conversations.
right,
But I think allowing people to be who they want to be is an
right.
incredibly important. That that
Yeah.
that that is important progress in our society, and then just finding a middle ground that allows everyone to just be comfortable in their own shoes. I mean,
I
I
think
think that's what it's
people
strive for.
I think people have gotten, for the most part, super accepting of all the nuances of humanity and all the different categories that we're all falling into as people, you know what I
But then,
mean?
but then you look at our society and you look
Right.
at humanity generally, and divisiveness is also a
I don't know, because like it's hard to see where the roots are, you know what I mean? Because so much of this is in the politicization and the agendas
well,
of
and the
both the left and the right.
amplification that social
Right, but I
media.
know, but like it's really like who's really to gain? At the end of the day, like I said at the beginning, you want to talk about conspiracy theories, you really have to look at who benefits from the division. You know what I mean? I'm like a middle guy. I have friends on the right, obviously a million friends on the left. You know what I mean? I'm not like sitting there going like, "Oh, you're on the right, go fuck yourself." And like I'm happy to disagree with my friends on the left that I
Mhm.
disagree with. So it's like, if more people were in the middle, the people that are the extremes who are probably gaining the most wouldn't be gaining what they're gaining. You know what I mean? Like, what is there to divide people about sexual orientation? In fucking 2021.
Well, I think
Who's divided by that
I
other than some sect of religious zealots
well, I think
who
what it
still
is,
say it goes against the Bible?
what I think it is to a certain extent, at least in the United States, so people are just too comfortable. The survival is less and less an issue as humanity evolves, and when you don't have that struggle of thinking about shelter or food or your
You think
health,
that's less of an issue
I,
now?
I think it's yes, it's progressively less of an issue. Like people, there's more social security. Frankly, like people have enough comfort that they don't like we don't very few people remember a period where there was like we had the Great Recession, but compared to what happened after the Depression and the
Yeah.
Dust Bowls.
I mean, I don't even know what the rest of the country looks like compared to us with our homeless population in Southern California. It's insane. I mean, they've been talking for years about the death of the middle class. Yeah, I mean, the people we're talking to are doing all right, but some of them, some of the people I know aren't doing so great. But I don't know really what you can trust anymore. You know what I mean? 100%. Like meaning could you really honestly bet on the future of the economy not having another recession? I mean,
Oh no,
we're
I am
printing
not
money
bull.
like
I'm not.
motherfuckers over here.
Look, if you look at how East Asia, the Middle East, and even South Asia to a lesser extent are developing, um, you know, the ability to control an economy and to have social control, um, uh, we don't have.
Right,
And I think so much of our leadership is out of touch with the solutions that we need. I mean, if
right,
it, the last, I think it was the last five candidates for president, in this most recent election were all over 70 years old.
right,
Like, who the fuck are they to lead this country into the future? Like
right.
we have a broken political system, and this is true all across the West,
Yeah, of course.
where They're where the tools and the mechanisms that enable young,
Right.
forward-thinking leaders to take
Yeah.
charge don't exist. And
Well,
look at
they need to emerge, and then, you know, and honestly, we'd be better served by a really strong third party. You know, the problem with the third party right now is that it just
well,
seems to always dilute the
these
Dems,
parties
but
don't really represent anything anymore. They just represent what's like allegedly the opposite of the other, and so
right,
there's no room for a third party because
right,
they all take a position on everything.
right,
Unlike in Europe, where lots of political parties just have a few specific issues that they represent,
right,
but they're able to gain seats in their
right,
parliaments. Like we don't have that here. Like the left and the right all have positions on everything, so there
right.
isn't room for a new party to
But
create.
I just, you know, in my life, I don't remember the left ever being as far left as the left has
Well,
gone,
and then
and
that's what
I've
I'm
never
talking
seen
about.
the right
I mean,
in a
both
mainstream
parties
way be as far right as it's gone.
both
It's
parties
just
have been hijacked by extremism
yeah,
because the most extreme voices get the most amplification on the news and on social media.
yeah,
They get the most reactions. It doesn't matter whether they're positive or negative. If they're getting the retweets and they're getting the comments, that's what people are reading. That's what people are absorbing, and they're
right. So that's the
absorbing that
clickbait of it all.
negativity and
Right,
toxicity, which creates this highly polarized world. Which, when you put everyone in a room together, they're not like that. People are actually fairly civilized when,
right,
when in a room together. But you put them on the internet and you put them behind a screen and an avatar,
yeah,
and they're horrible and nasty and brutish. And
yeah,
it's the most Hobbesian version of humanity that you can imagine.
yeah,
It brings out the worst. It also sometimes brings out the best. But I think it's just highly polarizing.
yeah.
And that's why I was calling the internet Pandora's box earlier, because for all the good that it does, its impact on the psyche and on human interaction it could potentially just do irreparable harm to
Oh,
humanity.
well, of course, man. All of it can. So social media does, and just super, one dimensional, obvious ways. You know what I mean? Instagram. I mean, there's benefits of it also, but with all these advances have come negatives to it. You know what I mean? But the internet is 100% like it's a Pandora's box that just goes right down the rabbit hole. You know?
And how do you think all this ends up affecting Hollywood? Like making movies, the stories that are told. Has there, have you sensed a real evolution
Well,
in
I
the
think
narratives?
obviously, tech has played a huge part, in pushing the advances
Streaming,
into well,
endless
that's in delivering the
places.
message, but I'm saying even in terms of creativity, creatively what they've been able to do with the Pixars and the studios, and so again, you look at you go, whoa, it's a benefit. Look at the work that happens now, just all the digital magic.
How are the narratives in our society, like the development, either the growing acceptance, but also the polarization, but also this kind of confrontation of what it means to be a man? How are
Oh,
those
oh, oh, oh.
narratives playing out in Hollywood?
Well, I mean, look, man, that's definitely a highly sensitive question, but I could give my opinion on it. My
That's all I
my
want.
my opinion is that we are seeing a shift, but I don't know how much of that shift is organically driven by the desire of the viewer. Meaning creators haven't changed, viewers haven't changed, but the buyers have changed in Hollywood. The mandate of what they want to buy and how that's driven. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we want to focus on this. We want to focus on that, right? They're making the choice for the viewers by demand. But I talk to a million people who would be like, yo, I wish there was a fucking show like that. I wish there was a show like Entourage.
So that's what I was gonna
But
ask.
but but
Could you make Entourage today if that came into
well, I mean, I think you could, it depends on like, you obviously want to make it so it reflects the world we
yeah,
live
the
in today.
zeitgeist? Yeah, you want it to be relevant.
That reflected the world we lived in
Right.
2004.
Which
But
was well, especially in
well,
Hollywood.
what are you gonna do? Like a bunch of young guys didn't want to get laid?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I mean, what are you gonna do? Like
But
hang
that
hang all the creators of that
no,
show? It
but
was
that
just a reality,
but that's true today, but I don't know if that's a story that, that people would be comfortable telling today. A bunch of
Well, I don't think you would.
4 white
But that's
dudes,
what
you
I'm
know,
saying,
in
right?
Hollywood.
Right. I don't think you would look at it the same way then. You know, I think. I mean, now. So I think then we always took pride in making the guys as, you know, even though they might have fallen short in certain areas. So we had stuff to play with, like Johnny Drama, Turtle, this and that, with the pot, this and that. I think we always wanted to have their relationships with girls be as earnest as possible, you know, and not have them be shitheads and just be guys who are out there just trying to slay and do whatever, but actually have like, and also have strong women on the show, you know, characters. So I feel like that wouldn't even change today, but I don't know that, yeah, you could really in this environment, I don't know that you could sell that show. I don't know that I'm not saying that I don't think there'd be an audience for it, because I
No,
think
I think
there's
there
an
would be an
audience.
audience,
I think
but
there's
I
an
don't know
audience
if
for
you could
everything.
make it.
Yeah, I don't know if you can make it. Yeah, I don't, you know what I mean? But
And
like, I also don't know you could make fucking All in the Family
Yeah.
or fucking, you know, a million other shows that have been made, you know, that like touched on race or, you know, that, well, you definitely couldn't make All in the Family, but you know, there's a lot of shit you couldn't make anymore, you know what I mean?
And so, as a writer and producer today, like, what sort of stories are you inspired to tell in this
Listen,
current day
I
and age?
love human beings of all sizes, races, ethnicities, you know, genders. I
But
don't
what
give a fuck.
inspires
But
you
I'm saying,
today?
like, Ballers, you know, was a very diverse
Right.
cast. So I didn't feel like I was out there making just like a white show, you
No.
know, about a bunch of kids. So
Mhm.
I'm inspired by like, I mean, I'm inspired by all stories like that. I'm just kind of like, fuck, that's a cool story. But I don't have like a mandate for what I'm looking to create. Like, I just know it when I hear it. Like, you know, it's like somebody will bring me something or I'll read something. I go, oh man, this is a cool show idea. But I throw a lot of shit against the walls. You know what I mean? Like, I had 3 calls today on shows that like I'm just developing internally
And
with different
you're
people.
doing some stuff with crypto, right? Because a great story hasn't
Right.
been
So
told with
right.
crypto
So
yet.
like our mutual friend Christina and, you know, and her show Hodl. Do you guys pronounce it Hodl or Hodl?
HODL.
Yeah, Hodl
HODL.
for
Who cares? It depends on the
Beacon
mood.
and Epics.
Yeah.
That I mean, my deal's not done, but I'm gonna direct a bunch of them, and I
I'm
guess
making a
EP
cameo on
it.
that show.
Yeah,
I'm
hell yeah, man.
excited.
Hell yeah, I'll direct you on it. No, there's a lot of super exciting things coming up, but I'm always kind of like the things that I look for are really like kind of like spaces, subcultures.
Right.
You know what I
Which
mean? It's
which
like
is what you've done
what
well.
right. What is a world we could go into with a really cool, intriguing, interesting character who's kind of, you know,
Well, and that's what you
flawed in their
need
own
when you're
way.
telling the story of a subculture, or else the outside audience doesn't
Yeah.
relate. You
Who
have
are
to
the
have
eyes
strong
and ears
character
of it? Yeah,
development.
who's taking us through this? And just create great conflict, you know what I mean? I'm not like but I'm expanding a little bit. I'm looking at more 1-hour stuff and, you know, I gotta change with the times too, you know? It's like,
Well, the one I
not for
love
me, for my
1
own
hour
likes.
television series are my favorite.
Yeah, that's like that's like I started in drama. And it's
Yeah.
funny because after I made Amongst Friends, like the HBO people told Doug, "Oh, we don't want him on out there." He's like, he's a drama guy Amongst Friends, and Doug's like, "No, there were amazing comedic moments in Amongst Friends, but I'd like to go back to a 1 hour format too." And I love true crime, so I would love to write some kind of fiction crime stuff. And I don't know, you know what I mean? I don't know what the fuck it is, but you know, we're doing this podcast. Me and my boy Sean over there and Jeremy
Yeah,
Green.
give it a shout out. What's it
Fuck yeah, I'm gonna
called?
give a shout out, man. I'm gonna do that in my delirium after sitting here an hour and a half. I'm doing the Cray. It's all the crazy shit I'm talking to you about. Just gonna chop it up. You'll have to come on as a guest. We're gonna bring in a lot of cool people.
But I tell you, when I come on, it's going to be a totally different conversation. I'm
Yo, you
excited.
come on and just fucking spin off the planet, bro. Like, that's it. Like, I'm like, I'm down to share all the crazy shit that goes on in my head. You know what I mean? So I'm like, and I know my partners are on as well, and hopefully the guests will come on. And I think the world is a little bit crazy right now. I think that coming out of this pandemic, people, you know, times have made people a little crazier also.
Bit wound up.
Yeah, so I think like let's fucking
Unwind.
yeah, let's just put it on a table and fucking sort it out and see what's what. You know what I mean?
Well, look, we did that on this show, first episode. I think was
Yeah,
great.
it was an honor to come on and be the first guest.
I
Let's go.
really
Now,
love it.
don't be
I'm glad the
buried.
first guy
Don't bury
canceled.
it. Don't bury it and put it like guest number 10. No, you don't have to make me the inaugural, but
No,
definitely
but
say birthday.
I think you know, I need to get other people's opinion, but I think, you know, the conversation we just had, you know, talking about your career, talking about who you are, and then getting deeper, you know, that's the format I was hoping to undertake, and it happened very naturally.
Yeah, I hope you get that other people, man. Like I go deep with motherfuckers. Sean will tell you, I get pretty deep with people on shit. Like,
No, I know, I love that. I
you
mean,
know, I try to make it funny. I
I
hope
mean,
it's
we
not
only
like I
met
don't-
once. We met once for what,
Yeah.
25 minutes? And
Yeah.
I was like, all right, he's going on the show. I know,
Yeah.
I knew it right then, because, you know, people that are authentic, the people that can be upfront about their failures and shortcomings, those are the folks that you learn the most from. You don't learn from the guy that only
100%.
talks about what they did great and everyone they know and how successful they are.
Well, let me ask you a question. If I come out here and do this, ultimately, am I doing this for me or am I doing it for them?
Exactly.
Am I doing, like you said, come and do this. I go, oh, I'll come and do this for you. But when I'm doing this, like, I don't think like I'm gonna get famous for being a guest on pods, but I think like, oh, you know what? Like maybe something I'm gonna say has some fucking value.
Well, and
know
you
what I
even
mean?
said that you get these DMs and you see
Yeah.
the impact you
Well,
have on
that
people.
feels good.
And
That's like an
that's why
actually
I
good
do this,
feeling, yeah.
because you know, there's no such thing as altruism. I do it because it feels good when I have an
Right,
impact
right.
on people, and I know that a platform like this and the platform that I have, which can only get bigger as I have guests like yourself on, can really, you know, have an impact on people's lives and change the way they think. And there's nothing better you can do in life. My definition of success is the ability to uplift those around you.
Right.
And so if you can uplift people through your stories, through your narrative, I mean, I can't imagine anything better.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I also, I agree with that 100%. I mean, like I always felt like, you know, I bust a lot of balls with my friends, but I think at the end of the day, I'm there to support the people I love that are in my life. And that's always been a good feeling. And, you know, to be able to contribute in any way you can contribute and give anything back is a good vibe. I remember, I think I said somebody fucking like 10 years ago. It's definitely a long time ago. And they were like, they were doing something really special. And I can't fully remember what they were doing, but it was some kind of volunteer work. And I was like, shit, I don't fucking do anything. I'm like, I got to do some shit. And they're like, dude, you write great comedy that's on Sunday nights that people get to watch and be happy before they go to their shitty jobs on a Monday. And I was like, that was the first time I actually looked at it. I was like, oh, maybe we do contribute in a way with that. You know, like I'd never looked at it like that because I only looked at it like the, hey, I get to go do this. I get to get paid to do this. I get to walk around like I do this, but I didn't look at the flip side of it all. So, but I think like if, you know, and again, like it's a little grand, you know, to think that that's the case, but if it is the case, you know, it's nice to be able to contribute to joy.
Well, you wouldn't have
Good
been renewed for
vibes.
so many seasons if you didn't have that impact on people.
Right. But you don't look at it in terms of the individual person.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I go, and I should have realized that because I remember times in my life when I felt like shit and I would go to watch like a movie that I loved that put me in a better mood. And I realized that that work actually does do that for people. So, but for me, I'm just happy to be able to contribute any way I can contribute anything. I mean, I'm not fighting fires and I'm not saving lives and, you know, and I'm not doing the hero important shit, but I'll just try
But
to
you
do
know,
this.
a great TV show or a great movie, I mean, that can change someone's outlook, you know? So,
Yeah,
you know,
right.
it's about finding the small ways you can
Exactly.
make
That was
people's
my
lives
point.
better.
Yes. Yes.
Amazing. Well, Rob, this has been a pleasure. This has been the first episode. I think.
Congratulations on it, man. Congratulations on the new company. This stuff's really
thank
good,
you.
man.
It's do you like it?
Yeah, it's excellent, man. It smells good too. It's
Well,
great,
your
yeah.
skin looks great, so let's
Thanks,
keep it
brother.
that
Yeah,
way.
hell yeah, brother. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Thanks so much, man.
Of course, bro.